net control station and logger here tonight for the East Coast Reflector TechNet number 644 on what's today, October 21st. Incidentally, on our website, we have a YouTube live, I don't know if you want to call it a YouTube live stream, but all of our nets are posted a couple hours after the net. So if you did want to go hear a technical question or something, if you missed something, you could go back and play it. The Morning Brew, a lot of people have written and said, hey, Dick, it's really nice now. I can appreciate what Vicky goes through. When I called in, 6 other people were on top of me and so forth. So it is kind of fun to go back and recap a little bit. If you know whereabouts, you called in, you can speed it up and go right to the spot. It's kind of fun to listen. So I just wanted to mention that. As always, we start out with our team members, see if any team members have anything to report. We got a couple of silent keys that came in this week, unfortunately. We'll go to that. And then we go to new users. See if we have any new users that have never checked into this net and get them up to the top. And then the meat and potatoes, as I call it, stations with questions. A couple of announcements from me. We've got this was just came about as of last night. We just booked 2 Zoom room presentations, one for November 10th. November 10th, it's a Monday night at 8 o'clock in our Zoom room. There'll be more to follow. But Daryl from Australia, the K3AWA, is going to do a Zoom room presentation building the flower pot antenna. And that should be fun. Just the Google flower pot antenna. He's going to do it on UHF just to keep it small. But, UHF, VHF, 10 meters, 6 meters, Google flower pot antenna. That's coming up on November 10th at 8 o'clock. It's a Monday night in the East Coast Reflector Zoom room. On November 17th, Dave, N2EZY, from Bloomfield, New York, is going to do a presentation at 8 o'clock in our Zoom room on Antique Wireless Association from Bloomfield. Should be pretty interesting. They have some extremely nice equipment. Going to go from the 1930s to the 1940s and then to the 1990s, I guess. So it's coming up, but there's more to follow. But there's 2 Zoom room presentations at 8 o'clock on Monday night, the 17th and what did I just say? So keep those dates in mind. I know Vicky will publish that in the magazine when it comes out, and we'll still have plenty of time. It'll be on the magazine. We'll start advertising him on our nets and so forth. Moving on to team members. That was my report. Any team members have anything that they would like to report to the group tonight? I guess not. Unfortunately, like I said, we have 2 silent keys. We have Sean from Yuma, Arizona, W7AZC, and a friend of Rogers from South Florida, Martin from Oakland Park, Florida, KI4IQZ. Those are 2 that we'd like to have, that we're going to remember here this evening. Does anyone else have a silent key from the East Coast Reflector family that they would like to have remembered here this evening? Well, it's good news. So we can just have a moment of silence for W7AZC, Sean from Yuma, Arizona, and KI4IQZ, Martin from Florida. Thank you, everyone. Unfortunately, we all are going to be on that list someday. So, live today. Tomorrow's not promised. Our question tonight, we've been struggling for questions. One of the guys, I've done this over 12 years. Believe me, we are struggling for questions. So if somebody does have a question, a general question that they would like to have for a TechNet question, please send them to me. Just my call sign at AOL.com will get it to me. We are burned out. Then we have to turn our head around for the morning brew and come up with a non-amateur radio related question for that. But brew questions are coming in. That's pretty good, but we are not getting any TechNet questions. So if you guys think of it, and the thing is, it has to be able to be answered in all classes of license. That's the tough. But we have people that might have had their license for a week, might have had people that might have had their license for 70 years. So we have a big variety. But if you got a question that you think, please send them in. We'll look at them, and we'll certainly seal them if we feel that it's favorable. But tonight's question came in from Randy, W2RBC, from West Seneca, one of our team members. And when he first said, it's okay, but when I put it in the log, I kind of like it. It's a question that everybody can answer. Where did you take the exam for your last amateur radio license? Where did you take the exam for your last amateur radio license? It might be the FCC, such as I did. It could be online. It could be with a club. We want to know tonight. We want to get people talking. That is our general question. Where did you take the exam for your last amateur radio license? And we worded it so for your last because people might have 3 classes, and we only want to know the last. Users to this TechNet, if you've never been to this net before, we'd like to get you up at the top of the list. I say that every week and say hello and welcome you to our TechNet. So what do we have new to this net? You might be on the morning brew, you might be on some of the other nets, but if you've never checked into this net before, please give us your call sign. We'll get you in. We'll say hello. This is Dick, WB2JPQ.
This is Kilo Echo 2, Foxtrot Tango Golf, KE2 FTG, Mike in New York.
Control, this is KE8LAX, Dean in Chesterfield, Michigan.
KJ5MLZ, KJ5MLZ.
Good evening, everyone. This is Kilo Delta 3, Bravo X-Ray Juliet. New to the net. Good evening, everyone. Back to you in the control.
Yeah, good evening, folks, from San Antonio, Texas, K5YYC, K5YYC. Good evening. Let me hold up here for a minute, everybody. From the bottom up, I got K5YYC. Frank from San Antonio, Texas. Why are these all coming up red, Vicky? I guess they've all been in here before. Oh, dear. K5YYC, you're good, Frank. And Martin, KD3BXJ is good. But unfortunately, Steve from Brooklyn, KE2GHZ, you're coming up red. You have been in here before, so I'd have to have you call in when we take general check-ins, or if you have a question. DJ5MLZ, you've also been in here. And along with Dean, KE8LAX has been in here before. And Mike, KE2FTG, has also been on this net before. Unfortunately, to be fair to everybody, we have to ask you to call in with the general check-in. But I will go to Mike, I guess, KD3BXJ. Mike, good evening to you. You You are new. It looks like you do not have an email address on your QRZ.com page. If you fix that, the system will send you a welcome letter. But good evening, Mike. And if you'd like to answer our question and say hello, once again, our question is, where did you take the exam for your test, for your last amateur radio license? Good evening, Mike. Mike, go. KD3BXJ. Mike? We don't have any idea where Mike was 2 minutes ago. Let me go to Frank. San Antonio, Texas, K5YYC. Good evening, Frank, and if you care to answer our question, welcome to the East Coast Reflector TechNet.
Yeah, thanks. Sorry if I've been on here before. It's been a while, but just wanted to say hello to everyone, and I'm real grateful to be on here this evening. I'm a new technician for the last, I guess 3 months or so, and just trying to get my feet wet, and sitting in the mobile here right now, just down here in balmy San Antonio, enjoying the evening. It's actually quite nice. It's below 95 degrees, and that feels like fall to all of us down here.
Sounds warm to me. Sounds warm to me. No, you have not been in here before, Frank. The other stations were, but you're good. Would you care to answer our question? Where did you take your last amateur radio exam?
Yeah, I've got a good memory. It's just not real long. Actually, this one ought to be easy because I just took the technician back in June over at the local Red Cross building right here close to downtown, close to the Alamodome east of downtown San Antonio. And actually, I had set up a challenge for myself to do the general here maybe next month if I can really work fast and furious on that. So I might have to slide it into December, but I got motivated to open everything up and take a shot at the general. I'm real anxious to get on and see what I can do on the HF. I got a brand new unit that I haven't even set up yet, but anxious to do that, anxious to get on the HF as well. So anyway, yep, nice to be here. I've really enjoyed listening to everyone on the East Coast Reflector from way down here in Texas. So it's been great, and I'll continue to do that. So yeah, I really enjoy being part of the crowd here. Go ahead.
We certainly appreciate you being there, and thanks to Jim, K5VPW, for providing your access, your gateway to get in. Jim's been with us a long time, and we certainly appreciate Jim's effort. I kind of missed, was that a club? I think he's kind of categorizing them here. She's got a DC club, and I don't know, she's going to have to, condense it down. Was that a club, Frank? You mentioned Red Cross. Was that a club, or was that just where it was given?
It wasn't a club, as I recall. It was just some, the volunteer coordinators, and that were just using the Red Cross facility building, and so that's really what that was. And yeah, it wasn't really a club in that regard. It's just a place where they hold it. We do have quite a number of locations here that are clubs, and I might end up doing that too if I can't hit my November or even December target to take a shot at the general.
That's good. I think he's going to categorize that and try to make it a little easier on her tonight. Well, thank you, Frank. Thank you for being there. Let me go back to Martin, KD3BXJ. Martin, or Mike, I guess your nickname is Mike, you said. Are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here for the long haul. So, fairly new technician licensee probably maybe a month. I took it online, and I believe the club was PARC that administered the online exam, which is completely different from taking it at a local place. So, unfortunately, I don't have much time. I work a lot. My weekends are usually tied up working, so online was the best solution at the time. But they were very professional, very efficient in the way they do it, and yeah, can't have a bad thing to say about them. The way they administered the exam was pretty thorough and efficient. Back to you, Net Control.
Thank you, Martin. My name is Dick. I guess I don't know if I said that or not. I've done these. I said to the guys in the Zoom room before tonight. I said, you know, I'm getting old. I've done this for over 12 years on Tuesday nights, and you don't remember from 1 week to the next, or month, or a year to the next. But my name is Dick, and I'm located in Eden, New York, about 25 miles south of Buffalo. I neglected to say that. I don't usually say that, so many know me, but public meeting room, that's exactly, or I'm saying online rather. So Vicky's got a few categories started here tonight. Thanks, Mike. And fine time for amateur radio. It's a very fun hobby. Anybody else new to this net? If you've never checked into this net before, give us your call sign. We'll get you up at the top of the list here.
November 3, Lima Yankee. November 3, Lima Yankee. Glenn.
I got you, Glenn. There was a station, I think, from the on the Detroit General Motors repeater. You want to try it again? We just heard a couple of syllables.
November 8, Quebec, Papa Foxtrot.
Great, Quebec, Papa Foxtrot. Unfortunately, you've been in here before. You're coming up red, so you have been on here once before. So again, I would have to ask you to wait until we get into general check-ins. After, and I did not say this tonight, and I should have. After we get through our stations with questions, we'll go to general check-ins. I think Roger's going to start with 10 radio check-ins, and then I'll take 10 text check-ins, and we'll go back and forth like that throughout the evening like we have been. Let me go to Glen Burnie, Maryland, N3LLY. Glenn, good evening to you, and where did you take your last amateur radio exam?
Well, it's kind of, you know, I don't remember where I upgraded to tech, but here's my story. Back in, I think, 92, I went to the SMARC, which is the Sulphur Mountain Amateur Radio Club in Ventura, California. I passed my novice, both my novice elements there, and the very next day, I jumped into my car and drove about 60 miles into Los Angeles, where I took my technician test. I don't quite remember who was giving the test, but I'll just give all credit to old Will Schroeder, who's a silent key at Sulphur Mountain Amateur Radio Club. Anyway, appreciate you letting me jump in there. Back to you, Nat, from N3LLY.
Thank you, Glenn. And club is what we were looking for. You know, whether you took it online, the FCC, club. Thank you for being there. Who else do I have that's new to this net? If you've never checked into this net, this is your turn to get up at the top of the list. 7 Echo Juliet Golf, William, Hillsboro, Oregon. William, unfortunately, KI7EJG, you're coming up red on my monitor, so indicates that you have been in here Before it shows you've been in here twice, or this is your second time. So I'll have to ask you as well to call in when we get to the general check-in. For some users that have never checked into this step before. Nothing hurt. Let's go to what I call the meat and potatoes of this night, is amateur radio related questions. I don't know if David and Charles are here. I'm hoping they are, but let's see if anybody has any amateur radio related questions that they would like to try to answer, find an answer for tonight. This is Dick, 21 past the hour, WB2JPQ. Call signs twice if you have an amateur related question. Come on, guys, don't be shy. Come in with an all-star question this afternoon in the Zoom room. I don't know if he's here tonight, but this is the place to ask. So if you got a question, please ask it, and we'll try to find you an answer. Call signs twice and slowly.
November 4, Romeo Hotel Echo. November 4, Romeo Hotel Echo.
And for RHE, sorry for the loss of your friend Martin, KI4IQZ. The least we can do is remember him here tonight, as we did. Why don't you answer our question, and we'll take one from you, Roger. Good evening.
WB2JPQ, good evening, Dick. November 4, Romeo Hotel Echo. Yes, Marty, he's got a 12-cylinder Jaguar XKE. He's a car collector. To answer your question, my last exam was for VE credentials. I'm not sure that qualifies. The answers were mailed in. And my extra at Imperial Point Hospital prior to a monthly meeting. My question is about the announcements of that's made. The system you're listening to is connected to the East Coast Reflector. How is that announcement generated? Is it by the clock, or is it on a schedule, or by a period of inactivity? And can it be selected or played at any given time at will? November 4, Romeo Hotel Echo. Return.
Well, it's a good question, Roger. The announcements are played every 80 minutes. Let me see if Kevin, KE7, thing. Kevin, by any chance, would you be on frequency? I guess not. Kevin's the in Oregon. He's the responsible person for the announcements. They're played every 80 minutes. Who has some that we can play? From the computer or from our, like for instance, the Ask an Elmer. You'll probably hear that maybe 4 or 5 times during the day, and I usually play that just the first and third, if it's the first or third Thursdays, to remind people that, hey, Ask Elmer is tonight. I can't remember, I think we got one for Town Hall, but those are played, some of those are played manually. But some are Kevin's voice, some are Kevin's son's voice. There's a lady's voice in there, I don't know who she is, and most of them are AI generated that Vicky has made and sent up. People don't realize that some of those are AI generated, but I hope I covered everything, Roger. And they're played from Kevin, KE7K, is the responsible party. He takes care of our announcements. Did I cover everything?
Dick, every 80 minutes. I thought it was more frequent than that. One of those generated voice, it sounds a little aggressive. Thanks, Dick. November 4, until Echo, return to net.
I'm looking at 80 minutes. I think I am. Kind of stuck in my mind. But I'll get an answer for you. Next time Kevin comes around, I'll ask him. I do believe it's 80 minutes. And we got you down for taking your last exam in the club. Thanks, Roger. And again, our condolences for your loss of your friend. What else do I have? Amateur radio related questions. Come on now.
N7 OKN.
W2.
KF5,
WFX,
question on
dipole antennas. Well, good evening to Marcus, KF5WFZ, and Tony, W2KG. From Mesa, Arizona, we're up first, N7OKN. Good evening to you. Why don't you answer our question first, get that out of the way, and we'll take yours.
I'm sorry, Dick, was that for me? N7 OKN.
Was John, every single week, N4 WGY in Huntsville, Alabama, every single week somebody does that, and I have to take that note off. And all it's doing is penalizing the people there in Huntsville that want to participate in that. Very, very discouraging. Yes, John, N7OKN, it's all yours.
Well, the last test I took was for my general, and I did it at DeVry. And got a mental block on the question. What's the question?
Well, our question is, where did you take your last amateur radio license exam? Was that a club? And then we'll take a question from you. Was that a club? Did you take it at a club, a public meeting place, online, the FCC?
Yeah, sorry about that. Arizona Repeater Association submitted the test to me. So, yeah, my question to you is, when the squelch is open and you have all that noise, is that generally right at 5 kilohertz? Because I found that if I open the squelch on the receiver on my repeater and it's set the deviation for the receive level at 4.5 kilohertz, it's a perfect level for repeater receive. And I'm wondering if is that a standard, or does that just happen to be a fluke with me?
If I understand your question right, usually 3.5 kilohertz, 3.3 at 1,000 cycles is a test tone. But you set your squelch so it's squelch when you have a signal coming in, whether it be an unmodulated carrier or 3.3 kilohertz with a test tone, that it opens up. Obviously, you don't want it too loose. But of course, that's gated with PL. There's several ways you can do that. You can AND gate them, depending on what the controller is, what the configuration is. You can have either COR, PL, COR and PL, and so forth. But everything should be gated and protected by PL in one way, shape, or form or another. But I don't think there's any standard to set the squelch. You set the squelch so basically for the noise, so the noise goes away. And I mean, if you get it too high, that's going to up your sensitivity. Again, you could be using PL in that COR to I don't know what your configuration is on your repeater. I don't know if that answered your question or not.
Well, I wasn't talking about squelch and PL, which I do have enabled on my repeater, of course. What I'm talking about is open squelch, that noise, that hash noise, that white noise, or as people call it, gray noise. When that is open, is that level, is that loudness around 5 kilohertz, or is that a little lower usually? I'm talking about adjusting the audio level, not the squelch level, on the repeater for proper levels. And I found that opening the receiver to that white noise and then adjusting it to 4.5 kilohertz seems to be about right. I'm wondering, am I doing it right? Or I don't have anything to create a test on, but it seems to work just great.
Dan, I understand. Well, you have no control over that. Well, I actually couldn't tell you. I would think it's around 5 kcs. I don't think in my lifetime, I don't think I ever measured it. You don't really care. It's muted, it's unsquelched audio, and it's in the background, if you will. I don't know. Can anybody else take a stab? And I don't know. I guess I have to open the squelch up, turn my service monitor on, and measure it, John. But it has no relative value. It's squelched. It's receiver noise. It's in the background. But, anybody else try to help more? It's not, John. I see where you're going, but I don't know why that would be relevant to anything. It's something you want to hear. It's squelched. Maybe I'm missing the point here.
Well, I thought I'd ask an expert. I did ask AI. I asked Microsoft Copilot the same question, and it thought I had a pretty unique idea into setting levels when you don't have proper test equipment. And so that's worth less than a grain of salt. All right, N70KN. I'm going to keep it where it is because it's the way I recently set my receive level, and it seems to work just great.
And whatever your repeat audio level is, that's adjusted either in your controller or whatever. That has nothing to do with the squelch, and whatever that deviation of the squelch is, that means absolutely nothing. What does mean is your repeated signal, and test tone is 3.5 kilohertz at 1,000 cycles. Thanks, John. Let me move on to Tony. Hi, Tony. W2KJV. And good evening, Tony. Answer our question, and we'll take yours.
Good evening, Dick, and everybody TechNet tonight. My last test I took in Homosassa at a local VE's house. And my question is, the FCC, the government being shut down, I'm wondering if your license expired and there's no way to, get it renewed because of the government shutdown. Is it legal to transmit on the grace, you have a certain grace period. I was wondering if it's legal to transmit on that grace period.
No, that's simply no. If your license is expired, it's expired. You're done and out. I did not know. I've got several reports that they're running slow, but I didn't know they were totally shut down. One gentleman told me that they told him that it's their computers that's running slow. It's not a manpower shortage. Somebody else says I believe they were running slow, but he got through. So I don't know. I can say maybe somebody can help me out here if it's totally shut down. But my understanding, it is not totally shut down. The word I had, their computers are running slow, but that's for everything. No matter where you go, you go into the department store and they'll tell you that the computers are running slow. It's a catch-all for anything. Anybody else help us out? Have any information? Has anybody tried to renew or deal with the FCC since the government shutdown? Thank you, whoever blocked that. That was the other repeater in Huntsville, Alabama. So both of those malicious interference tonight were taken off from Huntsville, Alabama. Time. Does anybody have any information? I know Vicky's got something in here I didn't quite hear. Anybody have any information on the FCC shutdown, or is the FCC shutdown due to the government shutdown?
KC5CZX.
Daryl, and Vicky said, of course, you could still get in the cores. Pretty much all computer generated, so I don't know. I don't have an answer. Daryl, go ahead with your comment.
Well, it says here that most FCC services, including filing applications and processing requests, are currently unavailable. This includes the systems used for licensing, emergency alerts, and other essential functions.
Okay. And the ARRL, Vicky says, it says that the computers are functioning. So I guess it's potluck. Daryl, why don't you answer our question while you're here? We can get you logged in for the night. Where did you take your last amateur radio license? The club, online, FCC, what was it?
Well, way back in the day when I did take the test, it was the local club at the library.
Club it is. Thanks, Joe. Back to you, Tony. I guess it's no on the one answer, and maybe it's no on both from what Daryl is saying.
I was just wondering, and it might be interesting to hear from someone that knew, was able to get through. Okay, well, thanks, Dick. Appreciate it. 7-3 all, W2KJB. Back to you, Dick.
1 WEB comment.
Webb, maybe Webb's got some. He's a VE, so Webb, good evening to you on 1 WEB. And while I got you on it, you answer our question as well. And thank you for jumping in.
You, Dick, and good evening to the net. I'm a volunteer examiner for the Anchorage Amateur Radio Club, and Dick, to answer your question, I took my last exam with the Amateur
radio club in Anchorage. I did that online, so I did it from home, and that's my answer, and I'm sticking to it. We are continuing to test all classes of licenses. However, since the FCC is closed, including their computer center in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, we're just holding all those files that we have for people that are testing, and we can't relay those to the FCC until they reopen and inform us that we can send those files again. So we're still getting a pretty steady stream of new licenses and upgrades coming in, but there's nothing that we can do with them, so we hang on to them. And since the ULS, which is the Universal Licensing System, is down, people can't even apply for an FRN number, which you need to get your license first. And I'm sure that any expired license would have to go through the ULS system as well. And since it's down, well, it just isn't happening. So that's the answer as I know it, and hopefully they'll get the government open again soon. N1, WEB, back to the net.
Great answer, Webb. So what's nice about this net, we had 411 All-Star connections alone here tonight, so we've got a lot of people, a lot of input. Thank you for that. And I guess that's not the best news, but that's the most accurate that I have heard. My experience was in the first 2 or 3, maybe 4 days. So I imagine things slowed down, and like Webb said, I guess they shut down. So Tony, I guess there's your answer.
N1, NEW. Dick, I might have a little information for you.
Sunbrook Pines, Mike, N1 NEW. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, I retired from the federal government. I was in a law enforcement position, and we went through over 25 years, many shutdowns. There's classes of employees that are maintained or not maintained. There's people called essential personnel. That's generally your law enforcement people, perhaps your employees at air traffic control, employees at nuclear power facilities, things that you just cannot let go without horrible calamities. The FCC has a certain amount of that, but it's not going to be your licensing people that issue your license to you over their website or your website, your email. That's going to be non-essential personnel. And even so, the essential personnel, hold on, let me ID, let the computer go. Okay, I'm back at you in one NEW. Your essential personnel generally were allowed to maintain and keep getting paid under what the government called a continuing resolution, which was just an agreement for appropriated monies. No, they weren't appropriated yet. At this point, there is no continuing resolution. There's no appropriated money. So non-essential personnel are not at their jobs, and even some essential personnel are not even getting paid, such as your military. I'm sure you've heard that on the news. Their computers might be running, but when that computer blows a fuse, that non-essential personnel is not going to be around to put a new fuse in. So, yep, the personnel are shut down. If the computer runs, great, but there's nobody there to add or subtract things from it. So the license will not be issued until they either get a budget or a continuing resolution passed.
Thank you, Mike. And before you go, would you answer our question? Where did you take your last FCC amateur radio test? In a club, online, so we can get you logged in tonight?
Okay, yeah, sure. I took all three of them at the club I am a member of.
Thank you for your input. Appreciate it. Let me go to Marcus, KF5WFX. Good evening, Marcus. Your question, please. This is Dick, WB2JPQ. See if we can find an answer for you.
WB2JPQ, KF5WFX. Yeah, I had some questions on some J-pole co-phase antennas, one up, one down, but I think I will withdraw my question there and let y'all carry on there. KF5WFX.
Right, that's your decision. Now, why would you answer our question? Where did you take your last amateur radio license? Club, online, FCC?
Well, I renewed with the FCC. That's the last time I took a license test. First time was with the club. I wasn't a member of the club, but anyways, there you have it. Sorry to bother. KF5WFX. Clear listening. Thanks, Dick.
Excuse me, Marcus. You said FCC and then you said the club. Where did you take your last amateur radio exam?
Well, you don't really take an exam to renew your license, so I renewed my license with the FCC. I've only taken one exam, and that would have been in Taos, New Mexico, way back when, and then I renewed it with the FCC. When you renew it, you don't really have to take an exam again. You just pay the fee. KF5WFX, clear.
You still didn't answer my question. I don't care about the renewals. Your last amateur radio exam that you sat and took, where did you take it? At a club? Online? Where was that? Where did you take your last exam? Not renew your license.
Hey, Dick, that would have been with the Vex in Taos, New Mexico. Wasn't a member of their club, but I'm pretty sure they might have had a club, but I just paid Vex and took the class there, or the test, I mean. There you have it, Taos, New Mexico, just a Vex test. Wasn't really a club, it was just a bunch of Vex. KF5WFX.
Marcus, we got you down for a club. Biggie trying to narrow it down to, club, FCC, public, online, so forth, so we're not all over the ballpark. Thank you, Marcus. All right, who else do I have with an amateur radio related question?
KKP3VPK.
All right, Easton, Pennsylvania. We got Jim in the Zoom room here with us. He's become a regular during the KD3ATQ. He's down over the hill from me, I guess, but he's from Easton as well. Good evening, Mary. KB3VPK. Answer our question, and we'll take one from you. How's that?
I took my test with D-Lark, a club, on a hot day in their trailer at field day in 2017 for the last level of extra class. So put me down for on field day 2017, and it's east something near Allentown at a park. And my question is, does anybody else get their weather reports at the top of the hour? I'm like, I miss my temperature when I hear the time, and I'm like, I change stations from the one underground in my program to a different one, and I still am not getting the the temperature when it reports the time at the top of the hour. So I'm just wondering if anybody else has a problem and if it could be due to the government shutdown. Back to you, Dick, KB3 VPK.
Mary, that was my fault. I was going to follow through on that. You asked that last week, and I know Joe says, well, let me listen to the top of the hour, and the top of the hour came and went. I don't know. Wasn't the consensus last week that some areas were up and some areas weren't? What Vicky's talking about is the weather whenever she has it programmed to come on, which comes from the National Weather Service, I guess. She's not getting it. She's wondering if that's due to the government shutdown. Can anybody answer that question? It appears last week that it was regional. Some places had it, some places didn't, but we don't know for sure. Can anybody help us out?
KC5CZX.
I'm going to have to put you on the payroll. Go ahead.
Go into terminal mode and do cron tab-E, and in there will be a line that has your say IP, and just after say IP, put a space, put your zip code in that space, and then put another space in the rest of it that's in the line, and that'll tell you top of the time, or that'll tell you the time and temperature at the top of the hour when the time comes on.
I didn't change anything in my programming at all.
For a long time, but it apparently
so
stopped.
it just stopped working about 2 weeks ago. So I'm like, it worked before. I did So I don't think it's my programming, but I will look at that too. But I really don't think it's my programming, and I did change station a couple times this week to see if it would work, and still not working.
All right, Mary.
I can tell you, do a cron tab.
Anybody, anybody, let me
and put your zip code just after say IP, and it should say it at the top of the hour every hour. Mine never fails.
All right, I'm sure Mary will check that, but she's had it working for probably years, and all of a sudden it stopped. So my question to everybody is anybody notice a difference if you play the weather at the top of the hour whenever you play it? I don't want that annoyance. I look outside. If it's raining, it's raining. But does anybody notice any difference in the script, the weather service script for All-Star? Let me leave it at that.
Now that depends on what you're referring to there, sir. It's if you're talking about the Skywarn, the system that we have here in Lubbock does have the Skywarn installed, and I also have the zip code at the in the cron tab, and it says the time and weather at the top of the hour, and so far we haven't had any troubles here, at least locally, with the weather service announcements coming out. If that's what you're referring to, you don't have to have Skywarn installed for the time and temperature or the weather to come out at the top of the hour, just your zip code in the cron tab.
I'll leave it up to Mary. She's had this script running, so she didn't do anything. All of a sudden it stopped, and she's wondering why. Last week, some selective people said it had stopped, perhaps due to the shutdown, and that's what Mary's trying to find out. Who else has got a question here tonight? Stations for the amateur radio-related question.
N0 MSS.
Hi, Ross. And Zero MSS. How are you tonight?
Doing well, thank you. My question is, since we're speaking of cron tabs, is there any place that has a step-by-step, here's everything you need to do to schedule a connect and a disconnect for like the morning brunette or something? Connect up in the morning and then disconnect when it's done. I've looked at some different websites and it looks like there may be 2 or 3 or 4 different ways of doing it. And I wonder if there's some place or somebody has a step-by-step, here's what you do in this file or this file or this file to do that for me.
Great question. Can anyone help Ross out? He's looking for step-by-step on doing a cron job to enable and disable his node. I think David, K4FXC, is not with us tonight. David, are you here by any chance? I didn't think so. So maybe David, I didn't think he was here tonight. Doesn't look like we're going to find you. Question. I can't remember seeing it anywhere else now that you mention it, but I guess that's one that we'll have to look into and see. That is great information to have.
From KJ5ITK.
Got Mike with a comment at the station. I believe it was a KJ5, please.
Yeah, good evening. It's Kilo Juliet 5 India Tango Kilo. I'll start out by answering your question. Last place I took, both my licenses, the technician and the general, were taken online. And if the fellow wanting to know about setting a schedule, best guy that does that, he's done it on a number of repeaters, is NU5D.
It's got KU5D. I think I saw his note come up. Oh, you're on his note. Okay, we're looking for step-by-step instructions. Does he have it on his website or something, the step-by-step for the car jobs? I guess the VKS took over there for a minute. Scott, my question to you is, does AU5D, does he have it on his website, the step-by-step? That's what Ross is looking to. Not that somebody has done it. He's looking for step-by-step written instructions.
He does have a lot of stuff on his website. I can't speak to that exactly, but Rick mentioned looking up his email. If you email him, he will probably send you via email step-by-step instructions on it.
Well, thank you. It's probably the closest we're going to get, Ross. And that's NU5D. NU5D, his node coming up there in Texas. So I guess we can start there, Ross. Go ahead.
All right, that is a place to start, so thank you very much for that. And the last test I took was at a Hamfest when I got my extra. And that was basically an online test on the computer, but it was at the Hamfest. I was thinking that other question about the squelch level. You know, check and receive sense on a service monitor, and you turn the generate level way down to where there's just white noise. I'm thinking that the deviation is like 1 kc or real low, so I don't think that's a correct way to adjust your 5 kc deviation on that one, if he's still listening. I think you got to inject that 5 kc in there, and you hear it coming back out, and you adjust it that way. N0 MSS.
Thank you, Ross. And no, scope choice, you're right. It means nothing. You set nothing up with scope. 3.3 kilohertz at 1,000 hertz, as you well know. Mike, you had a comment. K2CMT, that was back on, which question was it? I guess this question that we're on.
I took my test, only taken one so far, or taken two, I take that back, but I took them both at the Volusia County Ham Radio Society Club here in DeLand, Florida. And to the question that Ross had, I know I've seen it published and I've read about it at the scheduling and I'm pretty sure it's in the Ham Voight how-tos, and I've got them up on my page right now, and we'll be perusing them, and if I can find it, Ross, I'll contact you directly and give you a URL where to find them. But if you want to read anything about the All-Star and a node settings, the hamvoight.org is your first source.
I know I've seen it over the years, but I can't tell you where. Probably it was on the Ham Voight website. Thanks, Ross. Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Mike. Move on. Stations with an amateur radio related question. What do we got here? 2 minutes past the second hour. This is Dick, WB2JPQ. Stations with amateur radio related questions.
Charlie Whiskey India, KD6CWI. Good evening.
Good evening, KD6CWI.
Good evening, Dick, and good evening, everyone. Pleasure to be here. My question is, what are the precautions that you need to do when you purchase a new amplifier and you're trying to set it up? What are the necessary steps that you don't mess up? Just the basic stuff. That's the question. I'll bring it back to you, sir.
It's kind of a hard question to answer, Ruben. Depends on whether it's the old tube style. Tubes. You have to adjust your drive level and you adjust your amplifier, into a good load. The solid state stuff, I guess, you just push a button and it does it for you. We can put it out to the group. Again, I guess every manufacturer, you'd have to follow the instructions of the amplifier. Every one probably is a little bit different, but we'll put out. Anybody help Ruben out? Nothing. Roger in the Zoom room was coming up here in a few minutes. He said, love that solid state. Push a button and walk away. Ruben, I guess I'm going to have to refer you back to the owner's manual on how they recommend setting it up. Like I said, the new stuff, you push a button. The old stuff, knobs, buttons, and switches, my world, you have to do a few more steps. Go ahead, Ruben. And would you answer our question, please? Where did you take your last FCC amateur exam? Club, Hamfest, online? KD6CWI, are you still listening? what happened to Ruben. He was there a minute ago. All right, anybody else with an amateur radio? Victor Echo 3, Tango Charlie Sierra Mobile, VE3 TCS. I've said that call a few hundred times on the morning brew. VE3, good morning, Tim. Yeah, good morning. Good evening, Tim. Answer our question, we'll take one from you. TCS, Tim, are you still with me? I'll bet you're coming in through the General Motors repeater, and every once in a while they have a problem. It's not passing audio on the All-Star, it's repeating. If you're hearing me, that's probably the issue. Tim, we're not hearing you. Go ahead, Tim. Well, I think we lost Tim to that reason. Tim was coming in, like I said, through the GM repeater, and we've explained over the last few weeks that that repeater at times is not sending audio out the All-Star port, so maybe Tim will be back. One last time, anybody else will make this the last question here tonight? One more question, if we got one out there. Anybody anywhere? Hearing nothing. If Tim comes back or Ruben comes back, that's two customers kind of dropped out of sight. I think I know what happened to Tim. I have no idea what happened to Ruben, though. He was not on that repeater, that is for sure. Well, let me turn it over to our friend Roger, KO4QMM, and he's going to, I believe, take 10 text check-ins, which Vicki already has in queue here. Roger's going to take 10 texts, and then he's going to send it back to me. And I'm going to take 10 radio, and we'll go back and forth. We'll probably finish the net here. But Roger's going to take it. And tonight we're going to start with 10 text check-ins that came in sometime within the last hour, I guess. Some people text in very early in the day. Doesn't matter. Text in at any time. And we'll get a kind of text. So, Roger, it's all yours. Thank you. I'll be back, but thank you, Vicki, for logging. I'll be back. This is Dick, JPQ.
KD6 CWI comment.
Yeah, we wondered what happened to you, Ruben.
Mr. Dick, when you took over my question, and I saw on the Supermom, it turned red on the node 44225, connected it and it to node number 27339. So something happened there. Is that the one that you were mentioning, sir?
No, I was talking about the General Motors repeater in Detroit.
Yeah, so what happened on my end was, I was looking at Supermom 7, the 44045, I think that's the one in Texas. It turned red. Why? I didn't touch anything, so I just disconnected and reconnected again. But thank you, sir. I just want to let you know what happened, sir. And have a great evening. Thank you for doing the net. KD6 CWI.
Thanks for that. Also, what might happen. I don't have everything up here tonight, but perhaps we had a little glitch or something. Over to you, Roger. It's WB2JPQ. Thanks, Dick. Sound good tonight. Thanks, Vicky, for logging tonight, KE8VKY. This is KO4QMM. I'll be your net controller for the first 10 check-ins. And what else? I had a couple other things there. I was going to mention tomorrow night, the open mic night. And then Thursday morning, the 20-meter net. And that's at 10 a.m., 14.317, give or take a frequency or two. And then they got the Friday Youth Net, 8 p.m. on Friday night there. And join in, be some fun. And then there's the Saturday 40-meter net, and that usually starts at 9 o'clock at 7.245. All right, like I said, this is KO4QMM, Roger, Central Florida. I'll be your net controller for the text check-ins. Fred, Reno, Nevada, K7ES, KE2EDS, Mark, New York, KQ4GLY, Chris, Florida, KD3ATT, KK4SED, Les, Florida, WA2UUS, Joel, Buffalo, New York, KC6UFM, Charles, Kitay, California, KA2 Roy, Blaisdell, New York, K2CMT, Mike, DeBerry, Florida, KD2JPP, Bob, Gallatin, Tennessee, and maybe try Tim there again, Windsor, Canada, VE3PS. Are you there, Tim? Where did you take your exam for your last amateur radio license?
TCS, do you have a copy? VE3 TCS Mobile, do you have a copy?
Yes, I feel loud and clear. We got a question for you. Where did you take your exam for your last amateur radio license? Go ahead, Tim.
Last year, I finished up the Canadian Advanced course, and then I wrote that exam, and meanwhile, just before I wrote that, I wrote the Tech in General, then I wrote my Canadian Advanced, and then I wrote my extra class at Senior a year ago this past year. Over.
All right, Tim, you have a wonderful night. We got you in there. Let's move on to Bob, Tennessee, KD2JPP. Good evening, Bob.
Hey, good evening, Roger, and everybody else on the net. As far as the question tonight, I took my last test in the Union County Emergency Service Building, which is in Roseville Park, New Jersey. It was a Tri-County Radio Club. Everybody have a good night, stay safe, and have a great week. Back to net control.
You have a good night too, Bob. Joining us. Let's move on to my buddy, neighbor Mike, DeBerry, Florida, K2CMT. Good morning, Mike. Where did you take your exam for your last? I think you already mentioned that. K2CMT, Mike, were you in and out or us? All right, Roy, it's up to you in Blaisdell, New York, KA8BYU. Roy, where did you take your exam for your last amateur radio license?
Hey, everybody, on the TechNet, KA8BYU. Well, I took it at Amateur Radio Electronic Supply in Wickliffe, Ohio for my general. And tech I took at Howard Johnson's on Lakeshore in Cleveland in front of the FCC. All the way back in 78 and 2002. I think that's about when.
Right on, Roy. We appreciate you joining us tonight. And my last one was taken at Lake Amateur Radio Club right here in Florida. It's probably like a 45-degree morning. They could hardly get the door open. It was so cold. I know you northerners are laughing, but it gets cold down here at that. Thanks, Roy. Let's move on to my buddy Charles, Cathay, California, KC6 UFM. Boy, you got to blow the dust off that microphone. No antenna questions tonight there, Charles.
Yeah, that's true, Roger. But thanks to Vicky for logging tonight, and you and Dick for herding the cats. And this is Charles, KC6 UFM, in beautiful downtown Guatay, California, where it has been just gorgeous weather here. High about 80, lows about 40. So I can deal with that for a while. I mean, it could stay this way all year round and then get real nice for a while. But as far as the question is concerned, I'm going to use the term loosely, but my last exam I took at a local ham fest. And I say loosely because this ham fest, they have it every year, but they have about, maybe half a dozen booths for that people have purchased, and maybe there might be 8 or 10 people out tailgating some equipment out there, but they always have a VE session up and running, and different VE groups get together and kind of cover all that, and the big activity at this ham fest is the VE testing, so that's where I took mine. But otherwise, not too much happening here in Guatay tonight, but WK5PG, Wildwood, Texas. I know there was somebody real rude from Texas. Maybe I'll go take him off here in a moment. But in the event, thanks for taking care of things tonight, Roger. You have a good time, and I'll be looking for you on 20-meter FT8. 7-3, everyone. KC6 UFM, back to net control.
Always a pleasure, Charles. And yeah, our weather's really nice here in Central Florida, 60s and 80s. And I'll take that over to 40s. Too cool. And I use your term, herding the cat there once in a while, so I hope you don't mind. You have a good day there, and stay away from that 3-letter word there. You said FT something. See you later, Charles. Have a good evening. This is KO4QMM with the East Coast Reflector, Tuesday TechNet night. Let's move on to Joel, Buffalo, New York, WA2UUS. Good evening, Joel. And where did you take your exam for your last amateur radio license?
Roger and everyone else on the net tonight. I would have liked to have had your cold Florida weather. When I took in the middle of the winter here, I took my exam in 2015, and it was in a municipal building in the Tonawanders north of Buffalo. I wish everyone a nice week ahead. Be well and be safe. Thank you, Roger and Vicky.
Thank you for joining us, Joel. Appreciate it. Good evening. Let's move on to Les, Claremont, Florida, KK4SED. Good evening, Les.
Doing it 77 degrees here in Claremont. Hey, it's supposed to be high this next week. I thought 69 degrees. I saw one of them. So anyhow, I got to figure out what the question was. Yes. I took my exam in Pinellas Park, Florida, and remember it well. So, yeah, great meeting club. Had it in their club. KK4 SEE back to net. Thank you.
Oh yeah, I took my extra on my last test, and when I passed, I had a 100-watt smile, that was for sure. And there was a story behind that. The guy in the Zoom room, we were kind of having a contest, and we didn't tell anybody that we were going to take the extra test. And when I went down to take it, one of the guys from the Zoom room was the president of the club. So much for that sneak attack. All right, let's go on to Jim, Easton, PA. KD3AT. Evening, Jim. And where did you take your exam for your last amateur radio license?
Roger, Vicky, Dick, and the rest of the TechNet. I took my last test at the Hunterdon County Main Library, so that's a public area. It was sponsored by the W4BEC team. Back to you, Roger, KD3ATQ.
Thanks for joining us tonight. Have a wonderful evening. Let's move on to Chris, Parish, Florida, KQ4GLY. Good evening, Chris.
I took my test at the Manatee Amateur Radio Club in Bradenton, Florida. Back to net, KQ4GLY.
I was close by there last weekend, Bradenton racetrack down there, watching that Danger race. That was pretty fun. That place has really grown around there in the last few years. Take care, Chris. Move on to Mark, Elma, New York, KE2EDS. Good evening, Mark.
Roger, Vicky, Dick, and the rest of the group. I took mine at the Lancaster Amateur Radio Club. I took both my exams there. Have a great evening, KE2EDS.
Another clubber, Vicky got you down. And last on my text list is Fred, Reno, Nevada, K7FPS. Good evening, Fred.
Good evening, Roger, Dick, Vicky, and everyone on the net. We have a regional emergency operations center. It's not a club area. It's kind of a locked building, so whenever stuff goes to heck around here, everybody has a seat for the different services around here. But anyway, that's where I took my general test. And just another thought, whenever Ruben was talking earlier, 45225 dropped. It dropped on my end too. I reconnected to 27339.
This is KO4QMM. Go ahead and take some mobiles and general check-ins. Come with your call sign twice and slow.
KD4 DRP, Kilo Delta 4, Delta Papa Mobile.
Oh, this is Kilo
And 1YKT, and 1YKT.
Kilo Echo 4, Zulu Yankee, Quebec.
6ZAR. In 6ZAR. Kilo Charlie 3, Foxtrot Golf Delta. Kilo Charlie 3, Foxtrot Golf Delta.
KC1APK, KC1APK. W2RBC, W2RBC.
Kilo Quebec 4, Alpha Yankee Kilo. Kilo Quebec 4, Alpha Yankee Kilo. Wheel 3, Victor Oscar Charlie. Alright, got a nice little list there. We'll start from the bottom up. VU3, VOC. Oh boy. Let's move on to Tom. ZS2EC, Port Elizabeth. KQ4AYK, James, North Carolina. W2RBC, New York. KC1APK, David, Vermont. KC3FGD, Ray, PA. Q9Y4DX, Bertrand, Trinidad. N6ZAR, California. KE4ZYX, Joe, Michigan. N1YKT, Johnny, Kentucky. And KD4DRP, Mobile David, at Florida. I should be able to say that, but oh well. Where did you take your exam for your last amateur radio license there, David?
KD4DRP, it was approximately 2 months ago at Silver Springs clubhouse where I got my extra. KD4DRP, you have a good night. I'm destinated, so have a good night. Back to net control, KD4DRP.
Thanks for joining us, David. Your mobile's working good there. Let's move on to Johnny in Kentucky. N1YKT. Good evening, Johnny.
Good evening, sir. Hopefully everything's well. Thanks for doing the net. Newington, Connecticut. Have a great night. Thanks for doing the net. N1YKT.
No problem. Enjoy it. You have a wonderful evening. Thanks for joining us. Let's move on to Joe, KE4ZYQ, Michigan. How about it, Joe? Where did you take your exam for your last amateur radio license?
Control, this is KE4ZYQ. Good evening, net control and all on the net. Well, it was many years ago because my wife was alive and we both got our license at the same time. Back in 1986, we were from Michigan and we moved to Tennessee, Jackson, Tennessee for healthcare jobs that we had, that we got down there. And we both tested at the same time at the same CE and got our license down there in 1986. Been a long time ago, so, and she's passed away since then. So back to that, KE4ZYQ.
Thanks for joining us tonight. You have a good evening. Let's move on to Scott, East Vale, California, N6ZAR.
Good evening, Roger, Vicky, and everybody on the... good to see everyone in the Zoom room this evening. I took my technician exam at a local radio club. N6ZAR, back to you, Roger.
All right, thanks for joining us, Scott. You have a wonderful evening there. Let's move on to my buddy Bert, Trinidad and Tobago, 9Y4DX. Good evening, Bertrand.
Well, a pleasant evening to you, Net Control, Roger. KO4QMM, this is 9Y4DX, Bertrand. And yes, my location, Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean. Extend a pleasant evening as well to all of the stations this evening on the East Coast Reflector TechNet. Hope everyone is doing well. Well, Trinidad and Tobago just missed one of the storms for this year. After it passed Trinidad, we had a lot of rain over this weekend. We had a holiday as well, the Valley holiday. And it seems that the storm is developing now in the Caribbean Sea. So hoping that it doesn't go to any landmass and gets away. With respect to the question, I did my exams at the Trinidad and Tobago Amateur Radio Society classroom. There's a special examination given for those who would like to have a radio license. And I was in the disaster preparedness class, so I did the license. So that's it from me. Back to you, Net Control. Roger. KO4QMM. This is 9Y4DX.
Always a joy, Bertrand. Thanks for joining us this evening, and have a wonderful evening and day tomorrow. Let's move on to Ray, KC3FGD, Elizabethtown. Good evening, Ray. Where did you take your exam for the last amateur radio license?
Hey, good evening, Roger, everyone on the net. I took mine at the Southern Pennsylvania Amateur Radio Club headquarters right here in Lancaster County, PA. Hey, everyone, have a great evening. Back to Roger at Net Control.
Thanks for joining us, Ray. You sound good tonight, and have a good evening. Let's move on to David, Vermont, KC1APK. How about it, David? Well, good evening to you, and good evening to everyone here on the net. This is KC1APK in northern Vermont, where we're just getting past our fall foliage, deep into the fall season here. Yeah, it's been quite some time since I took my last exam. Did my extra at the Ham Fest here that we have in the springtime, sponsored by the Radio Amateurs of Northern Vermont Club, and enjoyed it ever since. So all the best to you and everybody else here on the net. 7-3 from KC1APK. Yeah, those very busy, at least the one down here, Hamcation, I've gone to twice now. Pretty busy place for the tests, and probably a good place to do it too. Plus you could buy something on the way out. Thanks for joining us. Let's move on to my buddy Randy, W2RBC. This is KO4QMM, Roger in Central Florida, net controller for the East Coast Reflector TechNet. Good evening, Randy.
Good evening, Roger, Vicky, Dick, and everyone on the TechNet. I took my last amateur radio exam online. The program was well designed and the examiners were really courteous. I thought it was a great setup. Back to Net Control, 73 to all, W2RBC.
Sounds like a good time you had there, Randy. You need to go ahead and do that last one. You know what I'm saying? And the last one I took, the first couple were with pencil and paper. The last one I took was with like iPads. It was pretty neat. Thanks for joining us, Randy. Let's move on to James, North Carolina, KQ4AYK. How about it, James? Where did you take your exam for your last amateur radio license?
This is KQ4AYK. Good evening, everybody. Good to hear everybody out here. I'm a first-time caller in on this net, and I really enjoy it so far. I've been a ham radio operator for about 4 years now. I got my tech license at a local club here in North Carolina. I just passed my general last week here at my local club here in Rockingham County, North Carolina, and have really enjoyed being an active general. I do a lot of FT8 work and stuff, so I've really enjoyed going on the lower channels and finding out new countries and new people and talking to different people all over the world. Back to you, and I appreciate you letting me join in. KQ4AYK, back to net control.
First of all, congratulations, James, on that general there. And as soon as you get settled in, you'll have to check out our 20-meter net on Thursday at 10 a.m., 14.317. And check out this net at eastcoastreflector.com. eastcoastreflector.com. You'll see what we're all about. A lot of ham radio related stuff. And thanks for joining us. We hope to hear from you again. On to my buddy Tom in South Africa, ZS2EC. Good evening, Tom.
Good morning, Roger. Local time is 0336. I took mine in Port Elizabeth in a small building in 1993, and I upgraded to my big calls that is 2EC in 2000. So yeah, had a restricted call sign and then my full call sign. Back to you, Roger.
I'm sure it was well deserved, my friend. Thanks for joining us this evening. Let's move on to VU3 VOC. Rajesh. About the best I can do, my friend.
Good evening, Roger. Good evening to all stations. You can call me Raj, Radio for Juliet. Happy to be here. This is my first time on the Reflector, and I guess I'm a little nervous, but that's fine. But my first exam was around 15 years back during a ham test, where I got my call sign AK4EC. I'm a one-day extra as well as a VE right now. So thank you very much. Have a good evening there. Local time here is 7 a.m. Right here it's a pleasant morning. Thank you very much. Next control, 23.
Wow, awesome. Hope you have a wonderful day there. And, man, great audio coming into Central Florida. Really appreciate you joining us. And you can call me Raj, too. My name is Roger. I'm in Central Florida. And mine is KO4QMM. Thanks for joining us. And on that note, let's go ahead and take some in and outs. Are there any in and outs?
Kilo 6, Golf Bravo Zulu, K6, GBZ. In and out.
This is
W4 PPX, 4 PPX, in and out.
N2 VNM, in and out. David in Peru, New York.
Echo 3 Tango Golf November. Victor Echo 3 Tango Golf November. Tim, Windsor, Ontario, Canada.
Kilo Juliet 5 Mac Sierra. Kilo Juliet 5 Mac Sierra. Jerry in Alvin, Texas, in and out.
KM7 CDC, Benjamin in Tempe.
All right, got a nice little list of in and outs there. KM7CBC, wasn't sure if you were in and out there, Ben from Tempe, but I'll come back check on you. KJ5MMS, in and out, Jerry, Texas. VE3TGN, Tim, Windsor, Canada, in and out. N2VNM, David, Peru, New York, in and out. W4PX, Don, Hollywood, Florida, in and out. K6GBZ, Tom, Cameron Park, California, in and out. Thanks for joining us. Then I got KI5PMI via text, Bill, Hobbs, New Mexico, K4ITA, Leo, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, AC4BR, Brian, Kentucky, W2AJR, Andy, Cheektowaga, New York, VTCS, Tim, Windsor, Canada. Let's go ahead and hit you, Tim, Windsor, Canada. How many times? Go ahead, VET3CS. I think he was in and out. Let's move on to W2AJR, Andy, Cheektowaga, New York, via text.
Good evening, Roger. Everybody in the net. Last test I took was at the Lancaster Amateur Radio Club. It was my general. Everybody have a great night. 7-3. Back to you, Roger.
QSL, my friend. Sound good. Let's move on to Brian Monty, AC4BR. Good evening, Brian.
Good evening, Roger and Vicky and everybody on the net. I got my extra back at the Kansas City Ham Fest in March of this year. That was my last test. That's a 4BR.
You did it, Brian. Have a good evening. Thanks for joining us. And let's move on to Leo, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, K4ITA. Good evening, Leo. Where did you take your exam for your last amateur radio license?
Good evening. Good evening, Roger and Vicky and everybody in the net. K4ITA Leo for Lauderdale. Quick question for Roger. I'm wondering if you have a horizontal or vertical polarization antenna. Last Thursday I was trying to check in on the 20-meter net. I could not hear you. We are probably too close, you know. I could hear people from New York, Midwest, but not you. Just wondering so I can put up the right antenna. I have here a magnetic loop, so we'll see. Going to the question, I got my extra at the Davy Cooper City Amateur Radio Club about a year ago. My general at the Broward Radio Club 2010, and my first one has a Italy Kilo 1 Oscar Delta 1982 in Italy, long time ago, kind of old. Thank you for doing the net. Have a great night, everybody. K4ITA.
Thanks for joining us, Leo. And right now I got a hex beam up, and usually I have that sucker when I do the net, I point it towards like Wisconsin. That way I get everybody on both sides and straight down the center. So my buddy Randy should be able to hear you. He's in West Seneca, New York, that does the logging, and sometimes he'll hear you. So keep on trying, my friend. We'll get you. We usually do. And let's move on to Bill, Hobbs, New Mexico, KI5PMI. Good evening, Bill.
Good evening, Roger. Everybody on the net. I took my amateur extra. Was my last one. I took it online. That was a real great experience. And for the next week and a half or so, I'm going to be in Tomball, Texas, on assignment for work. Wish it was pleasure, but it's got to be work. So I hope everybody has a great evening. KI5BMI. Back to net.
You have a good evening there, Bill. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, that online, it's got to be pretty neat. My first two tests, I had to drive all the way to Silver Springs, like 40 miles one way. So, but I always came back with a smile. So that was the good part. I didn't forget about you. I was going to try you one more time there, Ben. I didn't know if you were in and out. Tempe, Arizona. KM7CDC. How about it, Ben?
Good evening. I took my technician license exam online on hemstudy.org or link therefrom. Had a nice bunch of VEs who proctored my experience, and definitely would not mind in considering doing it for the general just as soon as the government shutdown gets finalized and situated and the greases are applied again and everything's running smoothly. But yeah, I did it online and it was back in August. Back to net. This is KM7CDC.
Awesome. Good for you, Ben, and have a wonderful evening there, and hope it's a beautiful sundown in Tempe, Arizona. KM7CDC. That's it for all those lists. This is KO4QMM, Roger in Central Florida. You're listening to the East Coast Reflector TechNet Night. If you don't know what that is, check out eastcoastreflector.com. You'll see what we're all about. All right, now it's open to anybody. Text, mobile, in and out, general check-ins. Come with your call sign twice and slow.
KD2 Whiskey 4 Hotel Kilo Lima. Whiskey 4 Hotel Kilo Lima.
KD2 VLU.
All right, there's a few more out there, but I'll let you know what we got. We got W4HKL Steve, Tennessee. KD2 VNU, my buddy Derby Dan, Derby, New York. KO4FRR, my buddy Joe, Sorrento, Florida. K2CJM, Charles, Selden, New York. Anybody else like to join us tonight? Answer the question of the evening. Come with your call sign.
QFT.
Zeta Oscar Echo W3ZOE.
Kilo Oscar 4, Romeo X-Ray Echo, KO4 RXE.
VA3SMC, VA3SMC.
All right, we'll work with this list. VA3SMC, Stephen, Canada. KO4RXE, Wendell, Kentucky. WEZOE, Zoe, Michigan. W4HKL, Steve, Tennessee. And I've already said that one. All right, let's go to the top. W2CJM, Charles, Selden, New York. Where did you take your exam for the last amateur radio license? Go ahead, Charles.
Evening, Roger.
A little bit rough there, Charles. You want to try one more time?
March 2000.
Yeah, I just can't. You must, your string must be getting a little long there. All I think I heard was 2000. So, thanks for joining us, Charles. Have a great evening. Let's move on to my buddy Joe, KO4R, Sorrento, Florida. I remember when you took your last test.
Well, good evening, Roger. This is Joe, KO4FRR. I got my test from the Lake Amateur Radio Association, the club that I'm
a part of as of right now. Have a good night, everybody, and I'll talk to you guys in the Zoom room. KO4FR. Sounds like you're having fun, Roger.
Boy, I tell you, get a little bit of coffee into me and blah, blah, blah. Thanks for joining us, Joe, from Sorrento. Let's move on to Derby Dan. KD2VNU. Good evening, Derby Dan.
Good evening, Roger. Good evening to the rest of the net. Hope all is well. My last test was at the Lancaster Amateur Radio Club back in February of 21. I wish everybody a good evening and a pleasant week. KD2VNU, return back to the net.
You enjoyed the week too, Dan. Thanks for joining us. And let's move on to Steve, Tennessee, W4HKL. Good evening, Steve.
Hey, good evening. The last test I took was when I upgraded from technician to general. We were at field day with our local amateur radio club, Mountain Amateur Radio Club, and one of the older hands sort of walked up to the table. I think I was working VHF and UHF, and plopped some study materials down and said, you're going to take your test later on tomorrow, so get to studying. And so that's what I did, and took my test and passed it, and upgraded to general. If you can't remember the year, I think it was in the early 2000s, sometime in there. Back to net, W4HKL.
Thanks for joining us, Steve, and have a wonderful evening. Let's move on to Zoe, W3ZOE. Like that call sign there, kind of mixed with the name, from Michigan. Good evening.
Good evening from rainy Michigan. I last took my general test, 3 months ago? Took it at the Grand Rapids Amateur Radio Association club meeting, actually. I had some VEs there, but I took my technician back in 2020, and finally got sick. Got out of radio for a little bit, and then I watched Ham Radio Tube, and finally got me into HF, and so I decided to take the jump to that, and happy I did. Back to that.
Awesome. Now you need to get yourself a vertical and point it towards Florida on Thursday mornings and check into our net. You have a wonderful day evening there, Zoe, and thanks for joining us. This is KO4QMM, Roger in Central Florida. Let's move on to Wendell in Kentucky. KO4RXE. Good evening, Wendell.
KO4RXE, Kilo Oscar 4, Romeo X-Ray Echo, Wendell, Critical. Wave my hand at everybody that joined the net. Everybody that joined the net. I didn't hear if it was a question posed, but I will pass on a little traffic that I had, and that is to support everybody on the amateur radio side by going to the ARRL, if it wasn't already stated, and fill out that letter, man, to help our fellow amateurs out that have the HOA in their area and cannot put up antennas. But, of course, they can pay the bill on Dish Network, right? So that's all I have, man. Appreciate you running it, Roger. KO4RXE, Wendell, over here in Critton, Kentucky.
Well, Wendell, answer our question of the evening is, where did you take your exam for your last amateur radio license? Over.
QSL. Okay. Well, I actually took my exam in my house. COVID-19. That's, got into radio. It was just sitting at home and bored, right?
sitting at home and bored, and started off on the GMRS, and the helmet had introduced me to GMRS. The silent key now, and he pushed me to get my ham ticket. And since then, man, I haven't put down radio since. And went from my first radio, Baofeng B5, and yeah. Got a whole Radio Shack everywhere now, from the desk to the bedroom to the living room, and yeah, they all over now. And yeah, all the way from Baofengs to Motorola's to Kenwoods to Vertex. It don't stop. Got hit with the radio bug and been loving it. But inside my house, brother. Yes, sir.
Awesome, Wendell. I tell you what, you got my same story. Same thing with me and a friend with the GMRS. Then we had to do the tech, and then the general, then the extra. Man, I haven't quit. Been enjoying it since. And yeah, there was nothing to do during COVID. You know, you had to do something, keep your mind strong, and talk to people without getting cooties. Thanks for joining us, my friend. On to Stephen, Canada, VA3SMC. Good evening, Stephen.
Yes, good evening, Roger, and everyone else on the net. The very first time and the last time that I had an amateur radio exam done was way back in the year 2000 through a club not too far away from me, Kitchener, Waterloo, Ontario. And yeah, I was in high school way back then, and drove about an hour from our home farm to the school where the class was for, I forget how many weeks it was, 8 or 16 or something like that. And then usually ran from like 7:30 to 10 o'clock at night, and then we drive the hour back home again. So yeah, it was very interesting.
Thanks, Stephen, for joining us this evening. We'll be looking for you down the line, some of our other nets. So thanks for joining in. And via text line, we got Chicago, New York, W2SAL. Good evening, Sal.
Good morning, Mr. Roger. Or is it good evening? I've been on the radio too long today, and the rest of the crew out there in the Zoom room. You can have Vicky put me down for club and all of mine. So with that, I'll send it back to you guys. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. W2SAL, back to net control.
Oh, I've got my share of radio today, that's for sure. I even did some fun HF during the afternoon. All right, that's it for that list. Now it's anybody anywhere that wants to get in. Come with your call sign.
2 CJM Mobile, W2 CJM Mobile. KE8QFT, Fred, Ohio.
Kilo Fox 4, Alpha Charlie Bravo. KM4ACB in Harrogate, Tennessee.
November 5, America, Quebec, Mexico. N5, AQM, Mike and Chandler. Good evening, in and out.
AC1YIX, Vermont, in and out. Alright, last call for the East Coast Reflector Tuesday night TechNet to tune in, answer the question of the evening. I guess I'll give you who we got now from the top down. N6QDY in Texton. Who is that? That's David there, Sacramento. W2CJM, Mobile, Charles, New York. KEHQFT, Fred, Ohio. KF4ACB, Terry, Tennessee. N5AQM, Mike, in and out, Chandler, Arizona. Have a great evening there, Mike. KC1YIX, Grant in Maine. Anybody else? Anybody else? Come on your call sign. This is the last call.
OJMB, November 0, Juliet, Mike, Bravo, Jason in Minnesota.
3, Yankee, Bravo, Sierra. Bill, in and out.
7, is it in and out?
That last one there, in and out. Come back again.
Kilo Alpha 5, Alpha Uniform Delta, Steve, Houston, Texas, in and out.
AG7, GBL, in and out.
I think we got you that KG7QBL, in and out. Have a great evening there from Reno, Nevada.
It's Portland, Oregon. 73, see it. KG7, GBL.
George, Portland. All right, you're saying it pretty fast. If you just said it nice and slow twice, we'd get it the first time, my friend. KG7GBL from Portland, Oregon. George, we got VA3YBS, Bill, Canada. NOJMB, Jason, Minnesota. KC1YIX, Grant. We already talked to him. All right, that's it. Let's go to the top of the list here. N6QDY via text. David, Sacramento, California. Where did you take your exam for the last amateur radio license?
Hey, Roger, Vicky, the TechNet, and everybody in the Zoom control room, N6QDY. You know, I was trying to think, was it a club? But maybe I just should say a club, because there was a whole bunch of volunteer examiners for the W5YI, but I don't remember. It was just a walk-in kind of thing, so I'm just going to go ahead and say club. Yeah, over in Fremont, California. That's when I took my 13 words over at Lake Elizabeth. It was pretty nice, too. Made you relax, you know, while you were taking the code test. But anyways, yeah, so I'm going to just go ahead and say club. Hey, thanks for doing what you guys are doing. And we'll return it back to net control, N6QDY.
Another clubber on the list, David. Thanks for joining us. Vicky got you down. Let's move on to Mobile, Charles, Selden, New York. W2CGM. I probably should have went to you first, Charles, but you're right there, club. Go ahead.
Roger and Vicky, I was at the end of my wire before, but I took my test at Suffolk County Radio Club this March for my general test.
Awesome, my friend. We got you that time loud and clear. Sound good. Have a good evening, and be safe motoring along there. This is KO4QMM, Roger in Central Florida. Let's move on to Fred, Medina, Ohio, KE8QFT. Good evening, Fred. Where did you take your exam for your last amateur radio license?
Well, my local radio club at a local church here in Ohio, and had to be in, oh gee whiz, about 2021, I belive. Haven't had to take one lately.
KE8QFT. Back to that.
We got you down, Fred. Thanks for joining us this evening. Let's move on to Terry, Tennessee, KF4AB. Good evening, Terry.
I'm doing well tonight. I have a mouthful of biscuit right now. That's what you get when you talk to somebody from the South. You got biscuits in their mouth. Where did I take and when did I take my last amateur radio test? Mountain Amateur Radio Club, our local club, of which I'm a member, in Middlesboro, Kentucky. I was studying Morse code. I'd already passed my 5 and 15, and I was studying the 20 to go take my extra, and we did away with the requirements. So I'm a 15 words per minute extra class.
Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. You have a wonderful evening. Let's move on to KC1YIX, Grant, Cumberland, Maine. Good evening, Grant.
Good evening. KC1YIX, I'm just in and out. Have a good night.
You have a good evening, too. We got you in and out now. Let's move on to Jason, Minnesota, NOJMB. Good evening, Jason.
This is N0JMB. So I got my technician in June and had full intentions on taking it at the local W0SV in St. Cloud, Minnesota. And then they do testing once a month. And I had something come up right at the last minute, so I wasn't able to take it at the club. Ended up doing it online, which is very convenient and they're very helpful. But then I did my general and extra at the club. So kind of glad I got both experiences, actually. Back to you, N0JMB.
Right, I've had a problem today with my O's and zeros. Thanks for joining us. N0JMB, Jason. Thanks again. Let's move on to Bill, Dunnville, Ontario, Canada, VA3YBS. Good evening, Bill. Where did you take the exam for your last amateur radio license?
Hey, good evening, Roger. I was going to be in and out. I thought we were getting near the end of the net, but now that you've got me, the local club here, the president is one of our examiners, and he made arrangements for me to take the exam at the club. So everybody have a good night, and this is VA3YBS, 73 to all.
That's the nice thing about this net. It doesn't really have a shut-off like the morning brew and stuff, so we can get the last of the people, that's for sure. Thanks for joining us, Bill. VA3YBS. And speaking of the last people, I'll give you one more shot, because there's always that one guy that, I didn't get in, so this is your chance. Come with your call sign twice and slow.
4, Romeo Whiskey November. Kilo, Quebec 4, Romeo Whiskey November, Huntsville, Alabama, and the name is Kevin.
N2BH, N2BH.
J7508, and I just double
in and out.
like we got a few stragglers. KJ5MLZ, Ezra, Louisiana, N2BH Bill, Palm Malheur, New York, and KRWN Kevin, Huntsville, Alabama. You're up, Kevin. Where did you take the exam for your last amateur radio license?
24RWN, Kevin in Huntsville, Alabama. I took my general license at the Huntsville Hamfest in 2024. A couple months before that, I took my technician license, and then in May, and then I bought an Icon 7300 to play around with it, and then in August of 2024, I took it at the Huntsville Hamfest, and been on there ever since and loving it.
And that's the way it should be. Thanks for joining us, Kevin. Have a wonderful night. N2BH Bill getting in there just underneath the wire. Good evening.
Hey, good evening, Roger. Sounding good. Hello, Vicky, Dick, everybody. I took my last one at the club at our meeting and became a VA or VE after that myself. N2BH.
Good deal, Bill. Thanks for joining us this evening, and we got you down. Let's move on to the last one for the East Coast Reflector Tuesday night TechNet. KJ5MLZ, Ezra, Louisiana. There you go. Still trying to call you from LA, but Louisiana. Where did you take the exam for your amateur radio license, Ezra?
KJ5MLZ, good evening. Yeah, man, to answer that question, took my test about, I'm going to say 2.5, 3 months ago, at a local club, Ozone Amateur Club over in Slidell, Louisiana. Back to you, Net Control.
Well, Ezra, thanks for joining us tonight, and that pretty much finishes off this evening. On behalf of WB2KBQ, the Godfather of the Net, gave him a break tonight. He'll be on the Morning Brew tomorrow bright and early. And Vicky, oh my goodness, KE8VKY. Thank you, Vicky, for logging tonight, doing such a wonderful job. And everybody for joining us this evening. Have a wonderful night. We'll catch you in the morning. 7-3.